Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for the week of January 26th. You have this entitlement card. It says, why do you believe that you deserve benefits and privileges you have not earned or worked for? You have a daydream card. It says, having your head in the clouds can be a great source of inspiration, but be careful when your fantasies become an escape from reality. Especially right now is how that sentence should be ended on that card, because this is, well, technically I'm recording this video on January 21st. It'll be published on the 22nd. Neptune leaves Pisces on the 26th, the day that this reading starts, or the week of the start of the week, basically Monday. And and the problem with Neptune and Pisces is having your head in the clouds. Neptune and Pisces is actually good for having your head in the clouds if you take a step towards whatever it is that you're dreaming about, right? So we have to definitely be careful. Sorry, I'm choking now. It's been one of those days, Libra. Sorry. But especially in on our dreams, we have to kind of like make those moves, or make a move towards whatever it is that we're working on. You have the Four of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Cups here. The Four of Pentacles can be holding on too tightly to the past. I actually feel pretty good about the Four of Pentacles in your reading, because you have the Eight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords. So sometimes I feel like the Four of Pentacles can represent needing to go get some water before you keep reading. All right, sorry about that, Libra. I thought I was going to be able to fight through that. I couldn't. So, Four of Pentacles, like I said, stability. I feel it can represent holding on too tightly to the past. But I also feel, what I was going to say before I started choking, is that I feel like you're working on foundational energy in the first place. Again, we have a bunch of energy moving into your opposite sign. Mostly Neptune, of course, this month, Saturn next month. And so working on the foundation of anything that you're building is always a good idea, especially with Saturn in Aries, because Saturn in Aries is like the start. It's like starting something. Saturn in Aries, of course, wants us to start and finish. It wants us to, the key word is finish with Saturn in Aries, for sure. But Saturn in Aries loves to work on things, or loves when you work on things that where you have a solid foundation and you see them through to the end. So again, pretty good card to have. You have the Eight of Pentacles again. Love it. Eight of Pentacles, very good for your money. Eight of Pentacles can be material success on the horizon. Eight of Pentacles is also kind of like straightforward, diligent work. And I kind of like this for you this week, because it could just say the week, as far as things you need to work on are concerned, is very straightforward. You just work on the stuff that works. Work on what has been working for you, and things will go well. The other thing is, again, with Saturn going into Aries in February, it could be a good time to finish anything you haven't finished as well. So not only do I think Saturn in Aries is good for starting new projects, new ideas, and finishing them, but if there's anything that you want to finish, then you will also get the rewards, for those things. Like if you had a project you forgot about from 2 years ago that you could quickly finish, between now and the 13th of February, before Saturn moves into Aries, that will also bring money. And the Eight of Pentacles is like money from the past. It can represent material success on the horizon. So, basically earning money for work that he's already done. And like I said, it just seems to be a big opportunity this week to work on things that haven't been finished, because it's like you've already done the work. It's almost like the universe is saying like, hey, I got a little bit of money for you, but you got to finish this, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about it. Like, what haven't I finished yet? Because I want that money, right? You have the Ten of Cups, which is like fortune after difficulty, happy home, happy family. Definitely feel there are a lot of improvement cards in this reading, for sure. A lot of progress energy in this reading as well. The other thing is that delusion card. It says fantasy, the problem, it says, but be careful when your fantasies become an escape from reality. These people are standing in the real world, but these 10 cups exist above their heads. I think you get the 10 of cups with me quite a bit, Libra. And, this card just wants you to bring the party down to earth. It's all this good stuff here. Anything you haven't finished, it wants you to bring it down to earth so that you can have the actual celebration here on earth, instead of just looking up at the clouds, right? And so that would be a good option for you as well. But let's see what is going on for you here. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Ace of Pentacles, two aces. You end with the Ace of Swords as well. So I love readings with multiple aces. Again, very good for new opportunities and building a solid foundation with those new opportunities. Ace of Pentacles is usually something that we are just a little bit afraid of sometimes, because the Ace of Pentacles just represents potential, and potential means nothing. And so if you're getting up any opportunities this week in like work especially, where you're saying like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or I don't know if that will work, those are the types of opportunities you should probably take a stab at with the Ace of Pentacles, because again, sometimes I think we can be a little bit hesitant on an Ace of Pentacles opportunity. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. Yeah, there's something I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think there could be something emotional happening this week that makes people emotional. So I would, take control of your emotions. Although it is a very good reading, Libra. So again, things, might be perfectly fine for you. Queen of Cups really wants us to work on our heart with the Eight of Pentacles. So anything that is heart-based, anything that's connected to your heart, anything that would lead to more fulfillment, those are all going to be good things to put energy into with the Queen of Cups. Like I always say, she values her heart more than anything else. So, if there's an opportunity for her that could fulfill her heart, she works on it so that she can fulfill her heart. I would do it on purpose with the Ten of Cups as well. If there's anything, even not work, right? If there are things that are going to make you feel good this week, then I would make it a point to go do those things so that you can be fulfilled. With the Ten of Cups, you have the Four of Wands. I'm pretty sure you've been getting love with me off and on for a while now. So if you want love, sure, could be attracting a solid connection. Four of Wands could say that, you could be meeting a person that you'll marry in the future. I also feel that definitely we need to get serious with our commitments before February. Again, before all that energy moves into Aries. I think it's much, much better to be 110% committed to what you're working on and to get rid of the excess, especially when Saturn gets into Aries, right? We're probably just not going to have the time to, we're probably only going to have enough time to fully commit to one thing, to like one project at a time, to one idea at a time. That doesn't mean, by the way, that you can't do multiple projects over the next few years. It just, I think it's just better to do one at a time. Do one, finish it, move on to the next, right? And so the commitment needs to be there. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, love it. You have the second house card. It says resources on it. You have this transit card. It says climate on it. And so definitely a lot of stuff going on with your finances in this reading. I would say this week has been financially heavy. Like all the readings have been talking about money or finances. So, it could be one of those weeks where people are focused on their finances. I will say it does look very good. You have very good cards here. Everybody else has had pretty good cards financially. And so, like I said, could be good. The other weird thing I noticed is like I've been seeing 555 like crazy. I even did a reading the other day that had like 4 5s in it, and this one is 55. So 555, 55. What's this right here? It's just 52. But 55, 555 could be an important number for you. Also in the area of what's coming in for you, you have the Page of Pentacles, the Strength card, and the Queen of Wands. Page of Pentacles could be a new person. So again, if you're looking for love, definitely could be communicating with someone new. It's also my card of studiousness, and I will say there is also something about this week that I think would really reward education. Sometimes I feel that the Page of Pentacles is profitable education, meaning you learn something that makes you more money in your job, in your career, your business, whatever it is you do. So it would, but again, I always say tarot doesn't just happen. You have to go do this. And, I think this card wants you to go look for a way to, upgrade your skills or to learn something new or learn something different. I just feel it would be very helpful. You have the Strength card. The Strength card is patience. It is strength. It is fortitude. You end with the Ace of Swords, which is also the card of fortitude or inner, kind of like inner strength in some ways. The Strength card, this is your inner voice. And for the readings I did for the month of February were pretty much all about people needing to be very careful of their inner critic and needing to take control over it. I definitely wouldn't say they were bad. Actually, February looked pretty good, but I think that the month of February, and the reason I'm talking about this is because I would start now. We're a week away from February, basically. So, I would start making sure that your inner critic or the devil on your shoulder isn't controlling your life. And again, this isn't a bad thing. This is just something that she does every single day. She makes sure that she is in control of her words that she says to herself, the things that she believes, the things that she believes she can do, all that, right? She takes control of those things. And that's it. That's what I think it's saying. You have the Queen of Wands always. You're always getting the Queen of Wands with me, Libra. So Queen of Wands wants you to be bold, assertive, confident, wants you to really go for those things that you want to accomplish. Ultimately, she chooses happiness. She has this sunflower right here. And the sunflowers, they point towards the sun. So the Queen of Wands wants you to move towards like love, joy, happiness, Queen of Cups energy. The other thing that I just noticed as well here, Libra, is you have 3 queens right here, and 3 queens in a reading, unless we get the fourth queen, 3 queens can represent like jealousy, gossip, things like that. And usually with the 3 queens, it is best to just ignore it. So, if you're dealing with jealousy, gossip, whatever, I would ignore it. Let's see. Here you go. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Sun, which is amazing. We talked about how the Queen of Wands moves towards the Sun, and now we have the Sun. Sun makes the whole entire reading more positive, but the Sun wants you to pay attention to your attention. I always say it's a very good card, but there is something we have to do with the Sun. And so the Sun is shining its light on the Page of Pentacles. If there's something you feel like you should learn, or if you who knows, maybe you get recommended a video on YouTube or something about your career, you might want to watch it, because the Sun, sometimes it can be very random, like how we get information or where it comes from. It can even, sometimes I think it can even come from children. The reason I say that is because this right here is the wall we all put up against our inner child, behind the child on the Sun card. But sometimes I think like children say things to us that just come out of nowhere, and you're like, whatever, it's a child. but you never know. Sometimes children are very intuitive, right? So, but it could be anything. With this Strength card, you have the 5 of Wands. Yeah, kind of good. It's kind of saying that your only challenge this week is your inner voice, right? So I think that, using good words on yourself, making sure that you are in control of your decisions and not the devil on your shoulder, that voice that tells you can't do something or you shouldn't, or whatever it says, I think facing that this week would probably make you have a very successful week. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Chariot. Yeah, probably the direction you should charge in. The Chariot is a victory, or he's heading towards victory. I do feel like you are kind of like heading towards victory, but I do feel a big change coming up for you, Libra, in like work or career. I feel like this is like years in the making, really. Probably. I think I've said to you before, I think Libra is probably, most of you, maybe this isn't true for all of you, but it wouldn't surprise me based off the astrology if you really haven't had something that you really want since like 2016. So, I think it's been many years, career-wise or work-wise, where you've had to kind of like settle in work, or maybe you feel like you just haven't been able to get something that you're qualified for. And, that really all changes kind of like this year. I said that to you before this year because, again, I think that Saturn and Aries especially is going to be very beneficial for you in your daily routine, your daily habits, your daily whatever you do every single day. And that could be where you see a lot of victories, not only right now, but, for the next few years at least. Next in the area messages from your future self, you have this Fates card and this Never-Ending Story card. So yeah, you have the 5 of Cups, which definitely would want you to end a never-ending story. I think a lot of people kind of are ending never-ending stories right now. We have had a bunch of major planets changing signs all at the same time. And, Pluto was like the end of 2024. We have Neptune and Saturn changing signs this year. Of course, Jupiter will change signs this year. And so even though that's a year, that's relatively short in terms of astrology, right? And so whenever we have all these major planets changing signs, and Uranus will change signs this year as well in April. Whenever that happens, we always undergo some great, significant changes. So, I think people are letting go of never-ending stories. It is kind of like a little bit of a faded time for everyone. I think something like no one talks about is we have the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, which is like extremely karmic as far as I'm concerned. And, the reason I believe that is because North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo is about like coming out of hiding, or there's a certain element of it about coming out of hiding. Then we have Neptune moving into Aries. Neptune in Pisces is wearing a mask. It is the age of deception. When it leaves Aries, it's like we are kind of like we are taking off the mask. You have the Ace of Swords, which is like telling the truth. It doesn't mean you're wearing a mask. It doesn't mean you're lying. But it just means we are kind of like stepping onto our path more. We are maybe admitting things to ourselves more about like what we want out of life. So I think seeing these fate cards nowadays doesn't really surprise me, because I think we are in some ways getting onto our destined path, or whatever you want to call it, almost because we just can't do anything else. I think energetically it's like a magnet. We're just being pulled towards our truth, right? And yeah, makes sense. You have the Five of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Hermit. Five of Cups can be like regrets or sadness, but I always say the easiest thing to do with the Five of Cups is to turn around and be grateful for these two cups. Then you get this bridge and this castle over here. The solution to the Five of Cups is gratitude. And gratitude was like the key word for in the 2026 yearly readings. So I am a big fan of people, practicing gratitude this year, or doing something to maybe express gratitude daily. Gratitude, is a great energy to manifest from as well, and to heal from. So I think that expressing more gratitude would be good. Next, you have the Knight of Pentacles. Again, I feel pretty good about this. I kind of go back and forth on the Knight of Pentacles. He's the only knight in the tarot that isn't moving, but I do feel you're making progress. You have the Chariot and the Ace of Swords, which are, two really good cards for moving forward, two good cards for momentum as well. Knight of Pentacles can be progress. He is making progress towards a goal. He knows everything he needs to know as well. He has these oak leaves on his helmet. They represent knowledge and wisdom. And right here, we were talking about learning, going this direction. So it's like you're gaining the knowledge necessary to be very successful. Libra, also make sure to like and subscribe. Really helps me out, by the way. You have the Hermit. The Hermit, North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo. It is the Hermit, basically. That's not true in tarot, but, basically it is kind of the energy that I was talking about. The story of people who are born North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo is that in a past life they escaped to the top of a mountain because they were hurt by the world. Like a common example is that maybe they were hurt by a person in love. They escaped to a mountain, they became a hermit, and they did this to like punish the world. So as a collective, when we have North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo, it's kind of like we are learning to not hide our gifts, or to not punish the world from things that make us special. Like we're learning to shine our inner light, right? And I also think it's no mistake that this, basically North Node, South Node moved into Pisces and Virgo when Pluto entered into Aquarius. With Pluto in Aquarius, we have to be an inspiration. We have to shine our inner light to other people and inspire them to do things, whatever it is, by living our best life. And, I think a lot of you Libra people could be getting into that. It seems to me like the air signs are, maybe a little bit more focused on it, which again makes sense because Pluto is in Aquarius. But, it seems to me it's like a little bit more important for air signs to really become that living example in life. And again, as I always say, like even if you just inspire one person, that is enough, right? With the Five of Cups, you have the Hierophant. Yeah, Five of Cups and Hierophant is about needing to be careful of thinking things should be a certain way. And, it's like, yeah, yes. It's like, yeah, maybe things should work a certain way in like love or business. It's like we all have these ideas of how things should work out, but usually they don't, right? And so it's not about like accepting it and being like, oh, a person cheated, but that's not how life should work. People shouldn't cheat. It's like, well, yeah, they shouldn't, but they do. So it's kind of like sometimes I think these two cards are about accepting that part of reality, right? That it happens, and just learning the lesson. The Hierophant is also a teacher. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Seven of Swords. I would be innovating as much as possible if I were a Libra. Seven of Swords can be lying, cheating, stealing, but again, I think this reading's all about you. I don't think it's about a person. And the Seven of Swords is about, he's sneaking away from this army in the background, and he's just going a different way. Chariot. Chariot is about going a different way. I feel like I say this to you all the time now, Libra. You're like the number one sign that gets this message of like moving different. And he is, again, going to war, but in a better way. So it's like anything you're trying to accomplish, is there a better way to do it? And if you discover the better way, then you'll be successful. With the Hermit, you have the King of Pentacles. Again, I feel very good about money in your reading. Really nice for finances and building wealth. You do have the King and Queen of Pentacles. They're divine counterparts. So if you do want love, there is a little bit of love here. And we do have these first two cards here as well. I kind of feel this is about how you make money. King of Pentacles, he makes money with his skills. So he has these grapes on his cloak, and the grapes on his cloak say that he has a special skill that makes him money. And it's something, grapes are meant to be something in the tarot that is difficult for most people to grow, but he can do it well. So it's like we all have something that we can probably do better than anyone else, right? And the King of Pentacles is, if you don't know what that skill is, then maybe you need to discover it. The Queen of Pentacles, she makes more money by being resourceful. And so she uses her resources to increase her finances. She also focuses on multiplication as well. So anything, she focuses kind of on her skills, but she focuses on the things where she gets a multiple of a result, more than just 50-50 or 100-100, right? She wants to get more than she puts in. She wants to get more out, right? And so that's what I would be thinking about. Next, in the good stuff, you have this Life is Speeding Up card and this Magic Works Through You card. Yeah, things are definitely speeding up. I don't know about anyone else, but 2025 went by in a blink of an eye. So, yes, I think things are definitely speeding up. The Magic Works Through You card, again, I think you need to think about like what skills you are good at and how you can use them. And that's what I would do with that card. You have the Ace of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Devil. Ace of Swords, like I said, could be your truth. Like, what do you truly want to do on your path, on your journey? Or, what do you truly think your purpose is? And I would move in that direction. Could be a victory coming in for you. Again, 2026 has been, all the readings this year have been full of victory cards, like Chariot, Ace of Swords. You have both in this reading. Six of Wands comes up a lot as well. And so I would be having victories on purpose. Like anything that you see as an easy win, I would take it, whatever it is. You have the Queen of Pentacles. Again, you always get the Queen of Pentacles or the Seven of Pentacles with me. And the Queen of Pentacles is about being resourceful and using your resources. I think we have to think a little bit more tactically nowadays with the Seven of Swords as well. Again, I could probably come up with a million examples, but especially in work or business, it's like one of those things I tell people to ask for a raise with the Queen of Pentacles sometimes. And people always say to me, like, I asked my boss for a raise and he said no. And I'm like, yeah, you can't stop at no. The thing with the Queen of Pentacles is she's resourceful. If her boss said no, she would say, okay, what do I need to do to get a raise? And if her boss said there's nothing you can do, she would go get another job, right? So it's kind of like we can't stop at no with the Queen of Pentacles, especially in work. And we have to look for those solutions. And yeah, the whole point is if we put the work in, we'll find the solution. You have the Devil, a lot of Devil energy this month, and December had a lot of Devil energy. January has had a lot of Devil energy. Luckily, it's coming up in the good stuff for you, so you could be kind of like seeing something that isn't right for you. Ace of Swords is a great card for creating balance through cutting something out. So the sword cuts both ways. And yeah, obviously, sometimes it can be good to cut something toxic out of your life. With the here, you cannot make this up. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Judgment card, which is your purpose, which is what I've been talking about this entire time with like the whole your truth thing, right? So these people are standing in these coffins. The coffin is their old life. Outside the coffin is their new life. This is their higher self angel is calling them up out of these coffins into their new life. So it's like you have to move more towards your truth here, Libra. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the King of Wands. We now have these two, King and Queen of Wands, which are, again, divine counterparts. Very bold, assertive energy. They both want you to, like, really go towards the sun. So I feel like that's what it's talking about. With the Devil, you have the Temperance card. It's like I feel like you've given something enough time, is what the Temperance card is saying. Again, it's coming up in the good stuff, so this is probably a good thing, but I feel like you're just removing something toxic. It could be anything. You have this dog close up. It says pleasure with a close friend. Yeah, Ten of Cups is an amazing. You started with the Ten of Cups, and it's just an amazing card for community, spending time with people who are close to you. Getting that type of support. You have the stork. It says news of a birth or a new business opportunity. Ace of Pentacles definitely could be birthing a new opportunity. And again, I would take it. Like I said, Ace of Pentacles can sometimes be a little bit scary because it just has potential. But I would, anything that seems like it has potential, I would explore that potential. You have this throne card. It says position of authority. I think if you've been having a hard time getting a job, it's, sometimes I think this is true, that we have a hard time getting a job because the universe is like, no, I want you to get something harder. And, it's like maybe you've been going for positions that are too easy, and the universe is like, no, I want you to get something like a position of authority or leadership role. So that might be where you need to look. You have this boot. It says increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goal. Yeah, like a little bit is what I would say. I think, again, I just like 2025, I think 2026 is a year where we have to be careful of burnout for sure. And what I would say is that, I think it's okay this year to take like 2 steps instead of 1, right? And I've pretty much said this to everyone in the 2026 readings. I think that little bit extra will make a big difference. But again, I definitely wouldn't be burning yourself out. You have this desk card. It says pay attention to your work. Yeah, it's obviously it's a work reading, but it looks very good for work. So I love this, Libra. It looks really good. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your week.